Greetings, Doom fans, and welcome to another edition of the Frostbite Falls Daily Rant, here on the Doomstead Diner. Today, I am finally going to quit on ranting on my personal collapse, health issues, and impending death, and get back to the main topic of the diner, the collapse of industrial civilization. As important as my own personal collapse is to me, and slightly less important to my friends from the diner, what is going on in my life is not really a very important topic to anyone but me, and friends too, of course. What is globally important is to understand the progress of collapse, what its effects are in society, how poorly it is being reported on, outright false information being dished out, etc., etc., etc. The main ones I'm going to focus on in this rant is the fucking sovereign bond market and the concept of a cashless society that uses all electronic digibit fund transfers. This, of course, is the big kahuna as far as the monetary system is concerned. The bonds are the underlying collateral for everything else the too-big-to-fail banks rehypothecate up to create still more money to bid up more stocks and more commodities and so forth. The money you use is all based on this stuff, whether paper or digibit, or even precious metals, really, because you gotta convert it before you can spend it, usually. Otherwise, it's just a barter item, and you'll probably do better with bullets, tampons, or vodka as barter items than gold. Over the last few years of QE, or quantitative easing, and other CB nonsense, the value of sovereign bonds such as USTs, Krautbunds, and Brit Guilds have been increasing, while the yield on the bonds decreases. Yield, or percent return, moves in the opposite direction of the value of the bond. It's supposed to be the secure investment, good for widows and orphans. Of course, though, if it's getting less than 1% return on the investment, you'll need to be selling off a few of them every year to eat these days, if you are a widow or orphan who has a few of them. Sovereign bonds are core Tier 1 capital or collateral. It's upon this debt that all the rest of the massive debt out there is rehypothecated up. Once they start to collapse in value, the capital underpinning of any financial institution holding them becomes compromised. That would be all of them. And besides that, they are all trying to dump them at the same time. Katie, bar the door! The run for the fire exits is underway. This business has been ongoing for quite some time, particularly in the pigs nations and in certain municipal bond markets like Detroit that have been utterly abandoned. The effects have been masked by central banks serving as buyers of last resort of this worthless toilet paper. However, this process can only go on so long because everybody knows the shit is really worthless. What that means is that the CBs themselves are insolvent. So confidence in the bankstering industry drops daily in the CBs and their ability to maintain the markets and maintain the prices. Greece remains the canary in the coal mine for the euro trash, as the latest deadline approaches in June, and the Greeks are running out of pension funds to raid, and the IMF still seems unwilling to pony up more funny money unless Syriza agrees to still more austerity measures. Which they cannot do politically, for one thing, and for the other, exactly how much more austere can they make it? They already have over 50% youth unemployment. Besides that, their taxation system, which was never very good to begin with, is in complete shambles. So if anyone is still employed in buying stuff there and not bartering for it, the government in Greece is not getting a piece of the action at the moment. This factor bugs the banksters and the Poles the most, and is a big reason behind why you hear all the chatter now amongst economistas about going to a cashless society, where every transaction is done electronically through the banking system so it can all be recorded, and the banksters and governments are sure to get their cut. Now, maybe you can pull this shit off in Denmark, where the trains always run on time and Hamlet and company always play by the rules, to be or not to be. You're not going to be able to pull it off in Greece, if for no other reason than the infrastructure is so bad the system will never run correctly anywhere but maybe in downtown Athens where the tourist shops are. You think a no-cash electronic banking system is going to work on some backwater Greek island where the local taverna has an outhouse for a bathroom? Not very likely. The fucking toilets don't even flush. What about here in the fascist states of America? Can this be made to work in the near future? Well, Since just about everybody carries a smartphone these days, and the 4G network covers most of the lower 48 and even most populated spots in Alaska, yeah, maybe it can sort of work for a while. However, it basically puts out of biz every shadow black market type industry out there, like your drug dealers, your hookers, even your small farmers selling raw milk to friends, or folks selling shit at flea markets. Over in Europe, in the UK and France, in order to inflate their GDP numbers, they now estimate how much business is being done in hookers and blow, and jack that into the GDP total. None of these folks can do business anymore, because of course, such business is generally illegal. So now, you have put out of work a whole other class of people who once had some money to go buy stuff at Walmart and at least paid a sales tax. Can you spell blowback? Now they are in need of food stamps too. What about when Katrina hits? Or you just have a decent ice storm and the power goes out and the cell phone towers and 4G network goes down. Now nobody has any money to go out and buy some supplies to weather the storm either. What about when some Chinese hacker plants a virus on the network, which, if not outright stealing all the money, at least does a nice DDoS attack and freezes the system for a few hours? You need to get home on the subway, but your fucking debit card and your cell phone can't get into your account to pay for a token. What about when the Ruskies set off a nice EMP a few miles above Des Moines, Iowa, and the whole fucking network is fried for months at the least, if they can even ever get it running again? Once again, everyone is instantly broke. No work and money anywhere. Recently, I lost my wallet and with it my driver's license, debit cards, etc. It took me 2 weeks to get them replaced. The only thing that kept me going through this period were my preps of cash. Okay, I could have gone over to the bank and cashed a check. But again, if there is no cash around, how does that one work? Bitcoins, a relatively new form of electronic money, are also often hawked as the latest and greatest solution to keeping your money safe. Except everybody knows about Mt. Gox by now. From Wiki. Mt. Gox was a Bitcoin exchange based in Tokyo, Japan. It was launched in July 2010, and by 2013 was handling 70% of all Bitcoin transactions. In February 2014, the Mt. Gox company suspended trading, closed its website and exchange service, and filed for a form of bankruptcy protection from creditors called minisaisei, or civil rehabilitation, to allow courts to seek a buyer. In April 2014, the company began liquidation proceedings. It announced that around 850,000 bitcoins belonging to customers and the company were missing and likely stolen, an amount valued at more than $450 million at the time. Although 200,000 bitcoins have since been found, the reasons for the disappearance, theft, fraud, mismanagement, or a combination of these are unclear as of March 2014. You think fraud, mismanagement, and hacking will stop if the money goes cashless? Of course not! It will get worse. There is no computer system ever that is foolproof and incapable of being hacked. And of course, the rewards for hacking such a system, or mismanaging it, get bigger all the time. So the best and the brightest spend all their time figuring out how to do that. Is cash itself really that much better? Not that much, since as we all know, once a hyperinflationary event gets underway, your hoard of cash can go worthless pretty quick too. But at least not usually instantly, as in a nanosecond. You still have time to take your cash down to Walmart and unload it for some more preps. Will gold and silver work in this scenario? Not really, because these PMs simply are too thinly distributed to the population at large to be useful in commerce anymore. In any event, to use them now, on the occasion the cashless network goes down, you would need over to a gold dealer or pawn shop, and what will he have to give you for your Krugerrand? So, the whole idea is pretty fucking preposterous to begin with, which just about guarantees that they'll try it. And that's all the doom, this time until next time, here on the Doomstead Diner. Also, don't forget to make a donation if you like the rats. Later, Doomers.